is to just go cast your ballot, go back home, relax, and tune in to KTN News for the updates. And not just here in Kenya, but we'll also be telling you how our diaspora citizens are voting. But for now, I want to cross over to our city studios, and we'll be joined by Dibal Inea, my colleague, who is there with a panel of experts to just discuss what you expect tomorrow on the voting day and some of the emerging issues. Dibal, is back to you.
Many thanks indeed, Pinto Museo there. Such a comprehensive, elaborate coverage from all the counties that we have so far dotted our reporters, and a very also comprehensive and immersive feature there from Murimi Mwangi, just reminding us about Uhuru's succession. But some of the critical questions are being raised as well during his term. We'll look at some of the executive orders that the President Uhuru Kenyatta has actually doled out during his tenure. Some of them were very controversial, and we'll be discussing that much later in the course of this program with our panelists. Just to remind you, I'm holding court this morning with Professor Adams Olo, who is a political scientist. Also, we have Ambassador Dr. Joseph Magut, who is a political commentator as well. Gladys Bos-Chalet, she is here with us as well, Women Rep Uasin Gishu County. And then we'll be joined much later by Dr. Duncan Ojwang, who is a human rights lawyer. But before we took a short break, we were looking critically at what is happening, especially the electioneering process. And we had also Adams Olo chiming in on that. And I want just to remind you as well what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. Why Kenya needs you. Why Kenya needs you. You are very important. One vote really counts. One vote brought Hitler to power. We'll always be emphasizing that. That's how critical it is. And you know what really happened during the regime of Hitler, right? We have the extermination of the Jews. We had the final solution, as they call it. We had the World War II that really affected adversely the world. Why Kenya needs you. Now, what you need to know, this is what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. And they're saying your vote can be the key that opens the door for leaders who will be accountable to you. And equally important, your vote can be the key that locks out the corrupt and greedy individuals. And also remember, we have the State of the Nation inside today, and very incisive, analytical 20-page pullout that you can, of course, look inside the Standard to read all the details that are there, a rich repository of knowledge and rich seam of information there on the state of the nation. How is Uhuru leaving this country? Are we living on a high note or not? Remember yesterday also, they were pious, they were churchy, and this is how they looked this morning, or they looked yesterday. That is Azimio flag bearer Raila Odinga and his running mate Martha Karua at KICC in Nairobi yesterday, and also William Ruto, UDA presidential candidate William Ruto, with Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja praying during a church service at Jesus Teaching Ministry in Donholm. This is a Standard. Allow me to flip over to page 2, where we need to talk to you and remind you what will be happening tomorrow. This is very important. It bears repeating over and over. Election 22, what you need to know on voting day. 1, carry your original ID passport to your polling station. Carry your original ID or passport to your polling station. Secondly, after biometric identification using the KIMS kit, you will be given 6 ballot papers. White for president, green for member of National Assembly, beige for member of County Assembly, yellow for senator, purple for county woman member of National Assembly, blue for governor. Once more. After biometric identification using KIMS kit, you will be given 6 ballot papers. 1, white for president. We have green for member of National Assembly. We have beige for member of County Assembly. We have yellow for senator. We have purple for county women, member of the National Assembly, and blue for governor. Let's move on. 3, ensure all the ballot papers are stamped at the back. Very important. And we had a commissioner, Justice Nyang'aya, reminding this of that. You saw Chebukati giving us a dummy run yesterday, that simulation that we had from Bomas of Kenya. Ensure all the ballot papers are stamped at the back. 4, you can mark your preferred candidate using tick or an X. tick or an X or a dot or thumbprint dipped in ink. Very important. You can mark your preferred candidate using a tick or an X or a dot or a thumbprint dipped in ink. And let me just come to you, Adams, and ask you on that, because maybe some people might be electing to use a tick for the president, an X for the member of National Assembly, a dot for woman rape, or even a thumbprint dipped in ink. You know, the whole shebang as it is. Will we say that is a spoiled vote? No. Or if you choose, if you like to use a tick, it's a uniformity tick all over. If you like to use a dot, it is all over.
No, they are separate.
They are separate. They are separate. Yeah, they're separate papers. Oh, it's good to note as well.
They're separate papers. Of course, she's the expert on this. But as long as whatever you use falls within the box,
that's it. So it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Okay. Put your mark within the box and let it be one mark per each individual ballot paper.
I think the bill, there are two symbols provided. There's a tick and an X.
There's a tick and an X.
Yeah. And I think those are legible symbols.
But there's a dot also.
There's a dot.
It's right there.
There was also a dot, and there's a thumbprint dipped in ink. I think for them that are not really.
As long as you put a mark.
It's a mark.
The common
exactly.
one is an X and a tick. Those are the commonly used ones. But even if you put a question mark, it's still
even if you
mark.
draw a even if you draw a cow inside there,
it's still a mark.
As long as it
But this has not been identified by the IBC.
No. I mean, it's just that those are the common ones. You don't tell people too many things.
Okay.
But the law, it says a mark.
As long as it's marked.
Within
the box.
And remember, in the box, there is the party symbol, there is the picture of the candidate, there is the name of the candidate, and then the place where you mark. In the presidency, you also have the name of the running mate.
Indeed.
So even if somebody marked X on the party symbol and doesn't mark anywhere else, that will still be counted as a vote, as long as it's within the box of that particular candidate. Not outside.
Not outside. The ball, what usually you warn voters about is that don't go there and take Wajakoya and then X Mwaure.
Yes.
That becomes a...
But even politicians, that's very key. No, what you raise is very key, because we have politicians who have been misadvising some of the citizens.
And I think we shouldn't talk about it so you don't further misadvise the public.
No. It's good just to emphasize so that they know. So they say, if you don't vote for me, if you don't vote for the ball, please kindly vote for the ball. But if you don't vote for the ball, right, just put an X.
Just vote for the person you want.
Yes.
That's it.
No, I'm trying to showcase what they've been telling the citizenry, right? Put an X for all the candidates that will be on that ballot paper. I think that is misleading, and that has been on the ground. It's good that you're clarifying that, Adam Solo. Then finally, let's go to 5. Fold your ballot paper vertically in the middle. I think this is very important. This helps if this helps, if there was any extra ink on your mark, it will rub on your preferred candidate's image or symbol to avoid getting your vote spoiled. So very important on how you also fold that particular ballot paper. But
IBC has a responsibility to put the right pens at the polling station, not one
which bleeds.
You can't. Yes, that would be wrong if they did that.
Which the ink bleeds.
Then that is wrong. It should be one that doesn't stain
and dries.
And dries. Then cast your vote in the right ballot box. White paper goes to the ballot box with the white lead. Green paper goes to the ballot box with green lead. Beige paper goes to the ballot box with the beige lead. Yellow paper goes to the ballot.
And if in doubt, ask IEBC. There is a clerk who ensures that you're putting it in the right box.
Yes.
It is also their responsibility.
Yeah, there's someone to assist you. Purple paper goes to the ballot paper with the purple lead, and blue paper goes to the ballot box with the blue lead. If you're not sure which paper goes where, ask the deputy presiding officer to direct you.
But they should actually be a clerk watching that you're putting it, say, okay. So IEBC should also take a higher responsibility, because they don't expect the electorate to memorize which box. Not everyone can read senator or woman representative. That is why an extra clerk is hired for that purpose. So we place that responsibility also on IEBC. That clerk, you can't be going to look for them. That clerk is required, as you've been employed. And as a patriotic citizen, watch where someone is putting their ballot. That's your job.
A tricky one here. For those who cannot read and write, it is advisable to bring someone from home to assist. This person must also carry their national ID and must sign a form to that effect. If this voter does not have someone from home, the PO will assist in the presence of the voting agents. Now, this one, if I have my own inclination towards maybe a certain presidential candidate, and I'm bringing along, yes, how then? This is a tricky one. Yeah, how will that be? And it's only you and someone that you've brought from home, but I am for so and so, and she's for so and so.
Well, most of the time, just by logic, is that the person you take with you normally, most of the time, I'm not saying always, will be somebody of your same political persuasion, but that's why the laws and regulations have provided that not only will the presiding or deputy presiding officer be present, but also the agents, to ensure that this person who's being assisted ends up at least still having the secrecy of the vote, but within confined provisions.
And it's less risky. Of course, there is, it's better mitigated that way than a total stranger. Or even the career assistant that want to assist every voter. That raises a lot of questions. So if there is a risk, you'll rather take risk with your own person from home.
Right. And remember,
also that one person is not allowed to be a serial assistant, which means you can't help somebody, then go back, pick somebody else and bring them. It's one person per voter. The only person who can do multiple assistants is the presiding officer.
It's a presiding officer. Fantastic. Okay, back to you, Adam. Adams, just to where we had you on before you took a short break. Yes.
Basically, what you are asking was that given that this time around IBC has basically said that we won't be projecting spontaneously, and that we are allowing every other party, media houses, to also come and do their own tallying. What that will do, and we have to be alive to it, NTV will come with their own tabulations. Citizen will come with their own tabulation. Kenya Kwanza will come with their own tabulation. Azimio will come with their own tabulation. And I can assure you, Deba, there'll be a rush of all these different institutions and coalitions to announce their tallying. So what we have to be ready for as a country, because the IEBC has already said that the only thing that they'll be projecting is what is physically brought from the 290 constituency returning office. But as they battle the logistics of reaching Bomas, I can tell you that all these bodies, including the media, will already be saying, because then they'll be receiving it electronically, blah, blah, blah. They won't be waiting for physical. I can assure you that the public space will be bombarded with different projections. We have to be ready for that. We can't lie that, like in the US, where the media calls it and the Electoral Commission nearly faithfully affirms it, because it's a true reflection of what happened through the exit polls. I can't say that that will happen here. And I think that it behoves on all stakeholders to accurately project what was declared at the various polling stations. Because I can tell you, if there are different projections, the country will be on suspense.
On suspense. But do you think the media has the capacity, just in terms of resources, deploying in all the polling stations or even the tallying centers that we do have in the country right now, to give that particular accurate projection from their own assessment? Or they will depend solely on IBC?
No, you see, let me finish, then Gladys comes in.
Then we come to Magut.
Yeah. You see, if you go to 207, that is basically what happened with Citizen TV saying that we had our personnel in all the polling stations. And as per our tally, this is what it is. You see, and I'm saying that the moment IEBC opened that window, and you can call me on Wednesday, I can tell you each is going to come that based on our tally, it is this. If it turns out that what they'll be projecting out is really what IEBC announces, good for us, and God help us. But if it turns out that each institution or coalition will project something different, then we have to be ready for it.
You know, I think the BAL, where Professor Olo is speaking from, is the assumption that there are people who are dishonest. I don't believe that any media house worth its salt is going to project something other than what is in the porthole or what they have received from their people on the ground. Remember, these results are not a secret.
But IBC did it in 2013 and 2017, so why would you doubt the other institutions doing it?
I think, Adams, you need to stop living in the past. And the electoral landscape of Kenya since 2007, legally and in process, has changed. The electoral landscape of Kenya since 2013 and 2017 has since changed. Those errors that were found to exist at that time have been addressed by legislation. That's why we said before they were sending on text. Now we are sending an image copy. So we have learnt as a country. So to keep taking us back and saying it happened, I think you're confusing the country. Let us speak let us speak about what is the law.
But Gladys, we cannot really uncouple ourselves from the past. I think it really informs.
No, but we are saying, when we are talking about what will happen tomorrow, let's talk about the way the system as designed for tomorrow.
And I've said
because we're not going to use the 2013 system, we're not using the 2017 system, we're not using the 2007 system. So why are we talking about it? Let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, like I said, the announcement is made at the polling station. An image copy is taken by the parties for their own use. The same image copy is sent to the portal. Parties and media houses shall have access to that portal. It's a public portal. Remember, if I was a media house, I will check what is in the public portal. I will check what my people on the ground have had announced. And then I can say this is the figure that has come out of that place. So even if somebody cooks it, you may do that for the first 11 hours. But thereafter, the truth is going to be there. And
that's what I'm saying.
And remember that, and that's what I'm saying, it's not something that's capable of being hidden. There is one at the door. There is the same result form at the door of the polling station. There is a result form held by agents. There is a result form that has been taken a picture and an image copy sent. There is the same result form is taken to the constituency office, tallying center, for purposes of getting a threshold. Recording the threshold and the announcement.
Thank you.
So it's if any media house decides for what, it beats me what logic they would be doing it, because it will catch up with you. Believe me, within 11 hours, we will know that you are lying.
Thank you.
Then you'll have to swallow.
Just before you come to
Gladys,
you can just hang on a bit. Before you leave, because
I live in a practical world. She lives in an ideal world. What I'm basically saying is exactly what she has said right now. That for the first 11 hours, you might, I didn't say you will, I did say we have to prepare for it and find a way of mediating it. Even the most developed country, like the US, in the 2000 elections, Al Gore was on his way to go and concede. Then his campaign called him, hold on. Our evidence from Florida shows that there are some things amiss. And Al Gore's motorcade turned back that based on the data we are getting from our political base in Florida, George Bush hasn't yet won. Those are the realities that I'm talking about. I'm not saying that the law doesn't cater for it. I'm just saying that we are human beings, and based on past political practices, including international practices, that window she's talking about in which there can be conflicting tellings being thrown to the public will be there. And I'm saying, call me here on Wednesday and Thursday, and you'll find chances, 95%, that will happen. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the because I have to leave.
You have to leave, yes.
I have to go to Wasingishu and vote for myself too.
I know.
My candidates, yes.
You have a flight to catch?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have a flight to catch. Can we just remain with that particular topic? But I needed also to just ask a very critical question, Adams, and also Duncan and Ambassador Magut. First of all, we need to get clarification, or just maybe to clear the air for the public. When we had the Supreme Court asking a very critical question on the voter list, that if you have a ballot and it's only the president has been ticked, what happens to the next elective seats that are not ticked? That the ballot remains, a clean slate on that particular matter. I think that has never been answered very succinctly for Kenyans to really understand, and we can actually clarify that briefly. And then we can look also at the executive orders that during President Uhuru's term, there have been around 8 of them, some of them very controversial. Could you also tease out the issue of executive orders being abused by the president himself? And moving forward, how could we mitigate that? Could we begin with the Mwilu and also Smoking Wanjala's question?
I think that if you look at the result form, it normally indicates at the top the total number of ballot papers that they started with and registered voters. And then it says valid votes cast, rejected votes, spoiled votes, and disputed votes. Those should all add up to the actual votes that were torn off the booklet and given to persons. That math should add up. It is a criminal offense to carry the ballot paper out of the polling station. So ideally you will put it inside. Even if you don't mark it, you will put it back in the ballot box, and that means it will be a spoiled ballot because it does not reflect a vote for anybody. Right? So that should be the case. They should add up. And that's why you'll see a lot of the civic education that has gone on at the moment is asking agents that you must know how many ballot papers you started with, how many people walked into the polling station and voted, and then at the close of polling, you take stock of that even before you open the ballot box. So that you'll say, in my booklet, I'm left with 100 ballot papers, so many people walked in, 600 people walked in, and cast their ballots. Then when you open the box again, after you count and separate the spoiled, the rejected, and disputed ballots, plus the valid votes cast, you should be able to take the account. That is part of the work that is done at the polling station. It is unusual that you would only have a ballot paper for the for the president,
for the president,
for the others, because no one is ever given one ballot paper. You take all 6 ballot papers. As to whether you mark them or don't mark them is up to you.
It's up to you.
But at the end of the day, they go into the ballot box. You can't carry them out of the polling station. That's why you vote in full view. You put in the ballot box in full view of everyone and the clerks. So the clerks can see if you walked out to the ballot paper, because it means you haven't put it. That's why there is one clerk supervising you to do that. And you will have several agents also investigating.
So there are no chances this Magut blank pages will be ticked by someone else furtively.
That's why you should not give them back. You must put them in the
box. They have
box.
to be cast.
They have to be cast.
Whether they are blank or not.
Even during the counting. Even during the counting. Sometimes so and so. Then furtively. We have people in this country who can do, you know.
But
So we have all the agents.
That's why you have the agents.
Okay.
That's why you have the agents, and that's why counting is not in private. Counting it's a public.
It's a public,
It's a public issue. In fact, you have more than the agents at the counting.
Right.
So that should be taken care of. And I think I'll just comment on the. Before I leave, I can comment on your second question.
On the executive orders, yes.
Yes. You see, the president has power and authority to run the business of the country, but if you read the Constitution, it says that the president exercises those powers in accordance to the Constitution and the law. If you see the oath of office, the president promises to undertake his duties in accordance to the Constitution, the oath of office. So the problem is not the president, is not of the president undertaking his duties or giving executive orders. He must do it within the law and the Constitution. In the case of Uhuru Kenyatta, he contravened the law. That is why every head of state has an attorney general. The job of the attorney general is to be the legal advisor of the president and the government. Principal legal advisor, which means every time the president wants to do something, or even before they sign an executive order, it runs by the attorney general. When he is signing any international convention or treaty, it must pass through the attorney general's office. So when you find a situation, in the case of Uhuru Kenyatta, who the Nairobi Metropolitan Services that he established was declared unconstitutional. The Huduma number that he pushed was declared unconstitutional. The appointment of the cabinet assistant secretaries was declared unconstitutional. The BBI that he propagated was declared unconstitutional. The Kenya Meat Commission activity was declared unconstitutional. His own cabinet before 2017 was declared unconstitutional for not complying with the 2/3 gender rule. So yes, it is not that the president doesn't have the freedom to do it, but do it within the law. So even the case of BBI, had the president followed the law in pushing it, it would have passed. It just was blatant disobedience of the law, blatant contravention of the Constitution and his oath of office. In another country, he would have been impeached, and successfully so, because the only ground for impeaching a head of state is for contravening the Constitution, for violating the Constitution. In this case, he did not just violate it. The courts pronounced that he had in fact violated. So it's strange, but I think Kenyans eventually, we say, and I think for those Kenyans who took these matters to court, I think was very important. They have built this nation, because the next president can be able to be shown those orders and say, don't you do this, that happened. So we've learned a lesson, and I think for posterity, it has created a check. And I think that was a good role that the judiciary did.
Thank you. And we'll be able to tease out that with the panelists. Gladys, I just want to release you because you've got a flight to catch so far. And on that particular topic, we'll just take a short break. Then when we circle back, of course, we tease out these executive orders and some of these issues. We've not really chimed in very exhaustively also on, and you've clarified that, but I wanted just to hear from Duncan, also Adams as well, on the Mwilu smoking Wanjala's question that was very critical. We'll take a short break right now. When we circle back, we continue with more. Gladys is leaving right now. I wish you well.
Thank you.
See you on the other side of victory.
And all the best to Kenyans.
Yes.
Exercise your right to vote. The
Yes.
power is in your hands.
Yes.
And turn out, turn out, turn out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, we'll take that break.
Balinea, my colleague at our city studios, having a conversation with a panel of experts and political commentators on what to expect tomorrow as voters head to cast their ballots and choose their leaders all the way from the presidential election to the counties and the members of the county assembly. And of course, as earlier promised, we are at the 8 regions, the 47 counties. The reporters are camping there, and we are telling you what is going on ahead of the elections, preparations, and on the D-Day they'll also be bringing us live pictures and information and even results when they arrive. Let's now take a breather. When we return, we'll be giving you more details on what is happening across the counties and beyond. Stay with us.